I graduated from high school 2 years ago, and to this day, there's one thing I never told anyone. Not my friends. Not my parents. Not even the police when they asked. It happened during my senior year, in early November. I had gotten detention for skipping out on a makeup exam in algebra. Honestly, I didn't even care at that point. I was already planning to graduate early. But the school was strict, so I ended up sitting in the detention room on a Thursday afternoon. It was room 2F, a large, empty classroom we only used for exams or overflow study halls. No decorations. Just white walls, metal desks, and a long whiteboard at the front. When I arrived, there were 2 other students already there. Marcus, a junior I barely knew, and a girl I'd never seen before, tall, quiet, wearing an oversized hoodie with her hood up the whole time. The supervising teacher was Ms. Delaney. She took attendance, told us she'd be right back, and left. That was the first weird thing. Teachers never leave a detention room unattended. But I didn't complain, more silence meant less hassle. I just put my head down and started scrolling through my notes. For the first 20 minutes, nothing happened. Total silence. I glanced out the windows a few times. The sky had gone that dull gray color right before it rains, and the hall outside was empty. Then, Marcus leaned over and whispered something. "Hey, was that door always open?" I looked up. The classroom door was cracked open about 2 inches. We'd heard it click shut when Ms. Delaney left. I was sure of that. The girl in the hoodie looked too, but said nothing. Marcus got up, walked over to the door, and pushed it open slowly. The hallway was dark. All the overhead lights were off, just dim green glow from the emergency exit signs. And then we heard it. Footsteps. Far down the hall. Slow. Heavier than they should have been. Not quite boots, but not soft like sneakers either. Marcus stepped back. He closed the door without saying a word and sat back down. Another 5 minutes passed. I checked my phone. 4:19 p.m. I remember that because that's when the classroom lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then went out completely. All 3 of us sat frozen. No one moved. No one made a sound. And then came the tapping. Click. 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 It wasn't from the hallway. It was from inside the room, from the far left corner, behind the cabinet where they kept old textbooks. I turned my phone flashlight on, aimed it toward the corner, and saw nothing. Just stacked chairs, dust, and the cabinet. But the tapping continued. The girl in the hoodie stood up. For the first time, she spoke. "There's someone else in here." Her voice was flat. Like she already knew. I whispered, "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked slowly to the whiteboard and picked up a red dry erase marker. Without turning around, she started writing. "There are 4 of us." Marcus said, "No, there's 3. And then my phone shut off. Battery gone. Even though I had at least 40% left. We sat in total darkness. Silent. Waiting for something, anything, to happen. And then we heard the door creak open. Not fast. Not loud. Just slow. But I swear on everything, no one walked in. No footsteps. No breeze. No shift in the floorboards. Still, we all felt it. Someone had entered the room. And then the lights flicked back on. The whiteboard now had something else written on it. The words, "There are 4 of us," were gone. Replaced with, "One of you never left." I looked to my right. Marcus was there. Breathing heavy. I looked to my left, but the girl in the hoodie was gone. Not just from the room. I mean gone. Her chair was empty. Her bag was gone. The marker she held was gone. Even her name wasn't on the attendance sheet when Ms. Delaney returned 15 minutes later. Marcus and I told her what happened. She didn't believe a word. The cameras? System error. No footage saved that afternoon. The next day, Marcus didn't show up for school. I never saw him again. And as for me, I still walk past room 2F sometimes when I visit my old school for events. And sometimes, if I look through the glass fast enough, I still see a figure in a hoodie, sitting alone by the window, waiting for the others to return. I used to volunteer at my old middle school during summer breaks. Mostly just helping clean classrooms, label textbooks, and sometimes organize the library. It was boring, but easy money. And honestly, it felt kind of nice being back in the same building I used to walk through every day as a kid. But during the summer before college, I worked an afternoon shift I'll never forget. They asked me to help one of the janitors clean the East Wing, the one near the gym that hadn't been used since before the pandemic. That part of the school was dusty but still functional. Classrooms mostly stored old furniture and broken desks. I was alone in the hall by 5 p.m. The janitor had left to get more trash bags. The sun still came in through the long windows, casting this golden light across the floor. It wasn't creepy. It was actually kind of peaceful. Until I realized something strange. I couldn't hear my footsteps. I was wearing sneakers, so I thought maybe it was the carpet. But when I stopped, total silence. Like, absolute silence. No echo. No humming lights. No AC. No birds outside. Just, nothing. I clapped my hands. Nothing. I pulled out my phone. No signal. And then? I saw someone. A student, maybe 13 or 14, walking from the far end of the hallway. Their head was down, wearing a red jacket, holding a notebook in one hand. They didn't look at me. Didn't even glance up. I called out. No response. I stepped forward and waved. Still nothing. Then they turned the corner at the far end of the hallway, and disappeared from view. I figured they were someone's kid who got left behind, so I followed. When I reached the corner, I saw the hallway continued, just like before, but now the light looked different. More orange. Almost like late sunset, even though it was still just 5:30. And then I saw it again. The same kid. Same red jacket. Same notebook. Still walking ahead of me. But, they were walking the same stretch of hallway I had just crossed. Like it had reset. I turned around. The other side of the hallway was gone. Like it had faded into shadow. Now there was only one way to go. So I followed again. And again. 3 more times, I saw the same student pass ahead of me, always about 20 feet away, never looking up. On the 4th time, I stopped. There was a door nearby. One I hadn't noticed before. It was slightly open. Inside was a lit classroom, warm yellow light, almost too bright compared to the hallway. So I stepped in. The moment I did, the silence broke. Fluorescent lights buzzed. I heard distant sounds, voices maybe, or music, echoing faintly from the intercom. The classroom was empty. Except for one thing. The notebook. It sat open on the desk closest to the door. There was one sentence written in shaky pencil. You heard nothing. So you were chosen. I backed away, heart racing. When I looked back at the hallway, it was gone. The door now opened to the outside of the school. The sun was nearly down. And when I checked my phone, it was 7:42 p.m. Over 2 hours had passed. I never told the staff what happened. But sometimes, I still walk by that school. And from across the street, I can see the windows of the east hallway glowing. Even when the building is closed. And if I stare long enough, I still see a student in a red jacket walking silently by. Again. And again. I used to be a student at a private school just outside of town. It wasn't elite or fancy, but it was strict. Uniforms, badges, no cell phones. And they were always obsessed with records, attendance, ID cards, teacher certifications, everything was logged. That's why what happened in my final semester still doesn't make sense. It started on a Tuesday. Our usual biology teacher, Mr. Tamson, was out sick. Nothing unusual about that. But instead of one of the teachers from the next room filling in, a substitute showed up. She was tall, maybe in her late 30s, with black hair in a bun and a long maroon dress. She didn't smile. Didn't even introduce herself properly. Just wrote Ms. Lyra on the board and told us to open our books. Her voice was cold. Monotone. Like she'd memorized everything she said. No emotion at all. Weirdest part? She never called roll. Didn't check our names. Just stared. Stared too long at certain students. Especially the kid who sat next to me, Jared. After class, Jared told me something strange. He said while he was flipping through his notes, Ms. Lyra whispered his full name. His real name. Not just first and last, his middle name too. He never told it to anyone at school. I laughed it off. Thought maybe he was just messing around. But the next day, he didn't show up. No one asked about him. His desk was just empty. And Ms. Lyra was there again. Still no roll call. Still no smile. Still wearing the same maroon dress. This time, she stared at me. Her eyes were gray. Not cloudy, just blank. Like she was looking through me. She called on me 3 times that class, asking questions about things we hadn't studied yet. Things I wasn't supposed to know. That night, I looked her up. No records. No staff listing. No mention in school emails. I even asked the office the next day. They said, "Mr. Tamsin will be back tomorrow." We didn't assign any sub. I told them someone had been in his room all week. They looked at each other like I was joking or lying. I went to class anyway. This time, the room was empty. No teacher. No students. Only Jared's backpack on his desk. And something written on the board in faint chalk. 5 names. 2 left. I ran out of the classroom. Went straight to the front desk. They checked the logs. No one had signed in under the name Lyra. Mr. Tamsin had been in the hospital for 3 days. And Jared? Who? I pulled out my yearbook to prove he existed. But he wasn't in it. Neither was his student ID. His photo was missing from our class page. It was like he was never there. I went home early that day. Didn't sleep. Next morning, I walked into class early to grab my books. And there she was. Standing at the front of the room. Back turned. Writing names on the board, but the chalk didn't make a sound. She turned around slowly, like she already knew I was there. And smiled. For the first time. But her eyes were still empty. And under my name on the board, she had written 1 word. Almost. I never returned to that class. But sometimes, when I dream, I see her. Standing in the same classroom. Same dress. Same stare. Behind her, the board has more names now. All scratched out. Except one. Mine.